Hi everyone. Yes, so this is a 6 month update since October 2023. It's now the 15th of April. Um, yeah, so much has happened. I always think when I make these or I'm about to make these 6 months update videos, like yeah, not a lot's going to happen. I'm just going to waffle through most of it. But yeah, I actually did have to prepare a few slides just to remind me. I haven't planned this in any way, but just in terms of what I'm going to say, but just to remind myself about key talking points. Um, but yeah, so much has happened. I'd like to apologise to any coaches where I've suddenly just disappeared off the face of the earth when I was trying to prepare combined events workshops. About to find out why, but essentially, when I think about things that have been for a one-man band, that is a lot. Um, Now, it's not a lot if you're going to do something that's not particularly technical, or if you're running a jogging group or I don't know, something else like that. But when you're looking at giving personal bespoke feedback to a lot of technical events, um, and you're as enthusiastic and dedicated as someone that really wants to progress these youngsters, these athletes to do their very best, then yeah, doubling the size is just yeah, I found it challenging. I'll throw my hands up there. Um, I've tried to do my best. Um, some athletes have left. We'll talk about reasons for that soon. Um, Only a couple, like two or three, um, of the original 11, and I've had loads come in. Um, and I've actually had to implement a few other things, which I'll talk about soon. But yeah, it's been a challenge. My style of coaching, I've had to think about a little bit more. Uh, Introduce more gaming elements, get everyone involved more often, more of the time. It's almost like teacher behavioral management type stuff. Um, Hopefully, it's not been condescending and more active and not sitting around wondering when it's their turn kind of thing. That's the bottom of it. Um, so in terms of group size, yeah, that's been the major change. Um, Next, I want to talk about group performance and rankings. So to me, performance is relative to themselves. So if they improved, are they performing a lot better? Whereas rankings is more relative to other people their age. Yeah, they've all improved. They've been PBing up the wazoo. The rate of improvement has been going pretty well too. I think the average rate something like 6.8% on their PBs for all of them. It's just been going tremendously well. Um, can't complain. Um, they're just getting better every time they do something. And that's not to say I should make them compete every week, but picking a battles, knowing you're going to be fully prepared for that battle, for that competition, is a lot of it. Um, in terms of placings, um, the first major one that happened was the SIAB, the Schools International Athletics Board. And so what happened there? Well, you've got England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. You've got an under 16 boys, under 16 girls, under 16, over 16 and over 16, well, under 18, sorry, boys and girls teams. There's four teams, two ages and two genders. Um, for England, it's usually the top four at the English schools for juniors and for intermediate. Six people, and then it cuts down to five and a four, and or other things. I forget what Gary said, but you really, you know, there's probably reason. And now Ollie, there was Josh, who performed so well. It was the second highest score at that competition I'd ever seen. Um, Douglas Knox actually smashed it out of the park as well. I think there was another Irish lad called Downey, and then there was Oliver Downs. And to be honest, Ollie performed so well that if he'd have competed last year and produced that score, he'd have won the whole thing. So it's more of a testament to like how high the standard was. I mean, all of the boys on that podium fully deserve, to be there. It's not a, you know, paper champion type thing. They all did really well. Um, so I can't complain. They all smashed PBs. Um, and yeah, the controversy of Josh turning up without trainers, runner and flop. That makes you think, oh God, why do I travel these 4 or 5 hours in a car just because they've forgotten their trainers, kind of thing. But no, they thoroughly enjoyed the experience. They came away from it fit, healthy, and happy. Um, Josh had knee problems so bad last summer where he pretty much took from April till September off, just rested for English schools. And it was really nice that they went to this competition and just thought, actually, I'm just going to blast this. Um, it worked in our favour because there wasn't any high jump. And although Josh and Ollie, it's a good event of theirs, they actually liked the fact there wasn't any high jump just to save their knees a little bit. Um, yeah, they met loads of people, made loads of friends. And that was quite evident because a couple of months later at the England Athletics Indoor Combined Events Chaps for heptathlon, they pretty much chatting to, Douglas, Nathan Mobbs, all that stuff. They're all chatting again like thick as thieves, all that business. So it was just quite nice to see. But yeah, no, they did really well. You always wonder like how they're going to perform on a slightly larger stage. I thought it was an appropriate step up. Uh, Josh and Ollie not phased by international stuff. They could they could do that in front of 2, 3 thousand people, maybe 50,000 people. It just would not phase them. They're very mature in that respect. Immature in other ways, but mature in the respect that they're there to do athletics. And they're going to do their best, which is really pleasing to see because we had talked about it to quite a large degree in the building weeks. And then if we look at probably next set down, we had a good turnout at the England Athletics Combined Events Champs. So Josh came away with a bronze very sneakily. I mean, he performed incredibly well, 4,500 points for a first year, 4,548 on the top of my head, something like that. As a first year, that's pretty good. Puts him 60th in the world, I believe, as an under 18 overall, 12th as a first year, and 4 of them are older than him, confirmed. I think the other 8 might be older than him as well, but he's doing very well in the grand scheme of things. Ollie broke 4,000 points, but unfortunately did his back pretty much after the first event. Rather sillily ran headlong into the crash mat at the end of the 60. The crash mat wasn't particularly padded, so you might as well just run straight into the metal railing. And then he did his back doing long jump. So that was kind of the end of it. All throughout that weekend, he thought, no, I'm going to give up. I'm going to give up. We had him on the physio table trying to sort him out. He soldiered on, but I wanted to throw in the towel so many times. There's no point pushing it. I mean, in the end, he scored 4,000 points. He was 15 seconds down-ish on his 1K. He was nearly 2 meters down on his shot put. His long jump was 25 centimeters down. His hurdles nearly a quarter of a second too slow. You know, it was not fair on him. He's so much better than that. And to be honest, he should be up there in the 4,500s as well. What was pleasing though is that the ghost of high jump had been spooking him for a while, and I think he jumped 168 last year at the outdoor octathlon, where he got the championship record. And it's always wound him up. He's like, I'm 6'5", I'm 194 centimeters or 193. Can't remember what it is. I should be able to jump 180 plus. Why am I struggling at 170? And he's done 173 before, but that's only once. He's never really done it in a pent. Um, and then yeah, this heptathlon, even with a bad back, been working on it for a while, and he cleared 177 first time, and he had some very good attempts at 180, but just struggled to get his hips up. You can see from that very middle photo of him high jumping, that was 180. There's more to come. He'll get it. I'm confident that when his back's sorted out and he's recovered a bit more, he's had a month off and he's seen the physio and he's got rehab exercises to do. I'm sure it's nothing major. I think it's a double whammy of being silly, running into the barriers, pulling something while long jumping, and also probably the underlying fact is he's gone from 6'2" to 6'5" in the space of 12 and a half, 13 months. So yeah, just over a year. Um, there's a lot of things going on there. I often find when something bad happens, it's not like a singular one thing. It's a lot of trickle of thing. It's a multifaceted cause rather than just one thing. So the boys did very well. They're both bottoming under 17s, and they came 10th and third. And they gave the older boys a run for their money for sure. It wasn't a done dusted, why are you here kind of thing. So that was great. Thomas and Alex did really well. It's their first national competition. Great days. Bit of a wobble in the 800. Alex got boxed in and then lost all momentum. But he was bashing everything else out. PBs. He was in a really good position. He was looking to get a bronze at one point. He was really in the mix. And Thomas just got on. He was PBing everything, and he was rewarded with a big point score. I mean, last year in September, or was it the one before? I can't remember. Like this time 8 months ago, before the Kent Champs, his pentathlon PB was 1,700 and something, and now it's 2,400. So in the space of half a year or so, his PB is massively shot up. He's been putting the work in. His movement skills are getting so much better. There's all are, by the way, but it's really pleasing to see when they put the work in and they get results out. And then the final entrant was in the under 15 girls, Heidi, and again that was her first nationals. Just very busy girl, does lots of things. Sports scholar at a school, does cadets. Good overall athlete, and she went there. She did really well. She's a mix. Um, she was close to PBing, if not PBing, and she was rewarded with a really good position in the nationals. And I mean, last year under 15, I think she was ranked like 95th or something in pentathlon, or 93rd, and now it's top 20, top 25, and so she's massively, she's getting there, and it's just great to see. It's it's just great. That's what it's all about. These kids gaining a bit more well, when athletes just gain confidence and they're putting in the work, they're making adjustments, and it's like, I'm actually getting something from this. And to me, that's what it's all about. So I think personally the England Athletics Nationals was a great success. Um, you know, there's other parts of it, nothing to do with the athletes, that were actually traumatic for me. We'll talk about that soon. I'll come back to it. So, and then the final big whammy competition. I mean, there was the Kent Indoors as well. That was great. But I think the next big higher up one was the South of England Champs. And so lots of other athletes were getting success there. So, Jess won the pentathlon, South of England Champs, which is great. That's the highest championship she's won. She's never won a South of England combined events before. So really well done to her. Alex got a bronze in the under 15 category. And in the individual champs, Shane got bronze in the 400 and the 60 hurdles. And Alessia and Alex both got golds in the under 15 high jumps, so boys and girls champs, South of England. Just wow. Considering, I think a lot of coaches might, well, they probably won't. They don't care. But I think, like, when I look at it, I think, is that interesting? Is that surprising? We only do high jump maybe once a week, and if that, because sometimes, if it's cold and wet, we can't get the bed out, or Norman Park would just say, no, you're not having the bed out because it's been raining the last couple of days or something. We'll have to do something else. We have to be creative. And so part of me is thinking like, considering we don't even do that much high jump, should we, is this a surprise that, two of the best young athletes in high jump? And to be honest, this South of England was before the nationals, um, when I specifically wanted other athletes to rest like Josh and Ollie. And they probably would have done quite well as well. And Jess for various other competitions. So, you know, possibly could have been more successful. Um, anyway, but yeah, and then I think, well, we don't do much high jump, but what we do is we build overall athleticism. Um, and that they've got the movement patterns for it. They've got the rough movement patterns. We were always honing and making the techniques a little bit better. But all of the athletes now, I'm confident, have pretty good movement patterns. They're pretty much there, 80-85% there. There's no athlete now that does an event. I think, whoa, okay, that's really funky, like that bad. Stop, stop, stop. They're all pretty good, and they work pretty efficiently. And it's just a case of athletes are now athletic because they're doing lots of other different events. They're being well rounded. I think you can get in a bit of a rut just doing the same boring old drills, which I think this country is obsessed with drills, like this little fix if you just keep drilling it in, when really athleticism is more important. And that has to be underpinned by movement skills. You have to be athletic in the specific movement skills. Um, so yeah, so 6 medals in the South of England champs, 3 of them gold, 3 of them bronze. I'll take that. A couple in the combined events, I'll take that as well. And the athletes that probably could have brought in medals, we were saving for other competitions. So that's part of competition structure. You prioritize the ones that you want to go for. I think that segues nicely into the next bit I want to talk about. So we talked about performance. Now I'll talk about rankings or placings. So you might think like, oh, rankings out of 10 or out of 100 or out of 1,000 in the UK, that's so arbitrary. You could have a good year one year and a bad year the other. Why are you talking about that? And well, part of me thinks like, well, actually, yes, I get that point, but also it's a good starting point to steer the athlete to say what competitions are appropriate for you, which ones would you get the most success in. For example, if an athlete is struggling to break the top 500 in an event, do you think aiming for the Olympics is particularly appropriate? Do you think that's an unreasonable or reasonable goal? Do you think even nationals is particularly reasonable? What about an open? What about county? What if, and then the conversation starts happening, and depending if the athlete does well and needs to go back to the drawing board. I mean, preferably they do well and you can build on it, but sometimes these things don't happen. You need to think very carefully what events you're doing. But to me, I think I'm particularly lucky because the average ranking of people in the group now is 14.1 in at least one event in their respective countries. And I say that bit instead of the UK because obviously Shane is a UK, so he's a non-UK but resident. And then a young lad called Brahim, he's Algerian. He's the Algerian under 18, under 20 decathlon champion, and he came third last year as a 17-year-old in the under 20s African Championships for decathlon. Clearly the best in his country, so he wouldn't have a UK ranking, but I'd still consider that national level. But there's 6 athletes that are ranked number 1 in the UK. The average rank of the group is 14.1th position. So out of 20 athletes, if they went to the nationals, I'd expect them to come 14th on average. 9 of them are what I consider podium position. So 1, 2, 3, first, second, third, and 12 of them have been in the top 10 in the UK out of 23, which doesn't sound like much, but when you think the average is 14.1, 12 of them are in the top 10. There's quite a few of them that are in the 10 to 20 category, 10th to 20th position, and you think like, right, okay, what does that mean? Well, it means, to me, that means that they could try nationals if they want, but they'd probably have a better time doing the regional stuff like South of England's. They should be winning county championships at that level, unless, you know, 5 of the top 20 all come from one county, you know, that kind of thing. But they should be absolutely loving county stuff and regional stuff they can do. Nationals, they might come 10th, 15th, or whatever. They might get lucky, but who knows? But yeah, it's the reason why I look at rankings. It's more of a steering conversation to athletes to say you're ranked here. If you went to this competition, you'd probably be in the mix for this. How do you feel about that? Would you rather try an easier competition or a harder one? Like, you know, what do you want to, you know, where do you want to go? The average rank, if you include last 2 seasons, is 9.8. And if you include the 3 special cases, and so for me, the 3 special cases are Shane. The reason he's a special case is because not only is he representing now Trinidad and Tobago, but I haven't really given him any actual physical contact, coached, you know, face-to-face coaching since winter 2022. It's now spring 2024. I'm in a WhatsApp group with his parents and his current coach, Julie Benterman, and his other coaches that he's had along the way, myself, Mike, and all the rest of it. And I'm more than happy to chip in if they want my input, or if they say something, I'm like, yeah, no, always there to support you, Shane. But really, he's going really well. I've got no cause for concern. He's in the first year of under 20, so obviously stepping up, and his ranking has dropped a little bit. But you'd expect that, you know, if in the first year under 20, there's other older chaps and girls in it. That's just the dice. I'm afraid you're gonna have to just raise your game. The second special case is Brahim that I talked about. So I include him. He's only coming over to Britain this April till September for 6 months. He's hopefully going to do lots of competition, get some training in. Hopefully, it'll be a worthwhile experience. I mean, I'm looking forward to helping him. Can't wait for that. And then the third special case is a thrower, first year senior, Bryden, discus shot putter. So again, haven't actually coached him, but you know, we talk quite a lot. We've got a training structure. He's currently in a gap year between school and university. Been making sure that he's been ticking over and just preparing himself for university athletics. And yeah, it's just been nice to mentor him, keep him on the straight and narrow. You know, nice guy. And yeah, I obviously know a bit about throwing. I've been a thrower myself, and I can give some technical feedback, but I think mainly I've stayed away from that because he's transitioned from a coach to another specialist coach who can give him, you know, 3 times a week technical feedback, and he's quite respected. It's just been transitioning that move, and also him moving to the other end of Kent, in Dymchurch. So challenges, but yeah, otherwise fine. And if you include those 3 special cases, then the ranking drops or improves. I don't know what way you'd say it, to 8.7. And to have a group of 23 where the average rank is 8.7, I think is bloody awesome. So what to me has been pleasing is I've had a couple of athletes that were ranked, you know, somewhere between 90, 100th, 200th, 300th, 400th, 500th in the UK last year, and they've since done indoor competitions. They've broken PBs. They've garnered positions in certain opens or whatever. And you know, I've steered them towards county championships. They've done quite well, and they might have got a bronze or a silver, or or a fifth or fourth or whatever it is. But one example, young girl Layla has gone from 500th in UK to like 50 something, 60th. She's massively improved. Her training is going absolutely crazy. She's PBing and everything. She's really motivated. In actual fact, I'll talk about possibly where that motivation came from in a second. But yeah, she's she's absolutely smashing out the park. I'm really looking forward to see what she. I'm really looking forward, not the F word. I'm really looking forward to seeing what she's going to be doing this summer because I think she's worked so hard. Um, there's a lot of good things coming. Everything she's doing in training is PBing. She's definitely come out of her shell confidence-wise this year, and yeah, it's just really great. And then, you know, the start of the outdoor season. It's mad, but there's a competition in Wimbledon, combined events one that I've never really not noticed, but pardon me, but it's not been on my radar. Um, and three athletes, two of them brand new, young Talia and Rebecca there in that middle bit next to Josh and his flag. Um, yeah, just absolute, and young Jack as well. He's moved that Talia and Jack are moving into their first year under 15. Rebecca is now second year under 15, so they're relatively new to the events. And it was just great. It was Jack's second ever pentathlon. He was really nervous, but he got 5 out of 5 PBs, and he broke the 2,000 point barrier. So a couple of 100 point PB. It's temporarily number one in UK for under 15 boys. That'll go up some point this week. Um, so yeah, that would be nice. His family will love that. He's done really well. Um, yeah, so many personal demons. In terms of competing, I mean, he really doesn't like long jump. I don't know what it is with the sand, but he doesn't love it. And he went from long jumping 432 to breaking the 5 meter barrier, um, which is fantastic. And then obviously going up an age group from 75 to 80 hurdles and getting even more points on that, running faster. Um, his 800 was incredible as well. Um, he knew he had to break 232 to break 2,000 points, and he just kept it together and broke 2 minutes 30. And I think his PB before that was 235, 236, or 37. I can't remember, but yeah, absolutely incredible. Rebecca, fantastic as well. Um, 5 out of 5 PBs, like 500 point overall PB. Um, yeah, really impressive. Very mature, understands movement skills. I was just helping her at the competition. She picked up on it pretty much immediately. Just got a good feeling she's, gonna go well. And Talia, yeah, just high jump PB, shot put PB. I've only had a couple of sessions with her, but again, there's potential there. I mean, they've all got potential. Don't get me wrong; they all have, and so has Talia. And it's just nice seeing them develop. And again, Talia's a first year, but she's now ranked number one in England. She's only been beat just by a couple of points by a Scottish girl. She's third overall in the UK, um, which is mad. Um, because to me, the under 15 girls is probably, well, in the UK, the under 15 girls, from what I've seen, is so competitive. You've got hundreds, literally hundreds of girls doing the under 15 pentathlon. I don't know what it is. Whereas the boys, there's a fair amount, but not as much. And then it just starts to die off under 17. By the time you're under 20, there's probably like 40, 50 girls doing pentathlon or heptathlon under 20. And you really left with the good ones. Some really, really good athletes at that point. Um, in the under 15 girls, there just seems to be so many good athletes. It's not weak by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, I feel bad for the under 15 girls. There's just so many. It must be really difficult qualifying for national championships. And there was a little bit of a controversy actually with the under 15, under 17 combined events group, because a couple of mine wanted to go, but the under 15, under 17 girls apparently were all sold out within the first day or two, just completely sold out, all 32 entrants. And what annoyed me a little bit is there was no entry standards. So, you've essentially, I'm really lucky, thankful actually, sorry, that some sense must have been seen, because there was at one point where I don't think a single person in the top 10 for the under 15 girls from last year that could have gone was actually allowed. And I think one club, I can't remember what it was, Crewe and Nantwich maybe. I think they had like 7 or 8 athletes in there, which is nearly a quarter. And some of them were not breaking 2,000 points, um, which is fine. I mean, everyone has their standards. I get that, and people are progressing and whatever. But to me, you know, if a national championships should really serve um, people that are going to be national champions, or rather the best, so they can qualify for other competitions. They can use it for experience, their season building, that kind of thing. And it just left a little bit of a nasty taste in my mouth, because I thought to myself, like, I could have very easily, if it was just going to be a case of no entry standards and first come first serve, I could have very easily rung up the the girls' school opposite where I work, and I could have asked my head a month or two beforehand. I said, right, okay, very simple. Can we run a mid-year sports day? It's very simple. It'll be at the weekend. I'll organise all of it. All I ask is that at one form time, all the kids turn up a little bit early, 8:30, whenever it is on the Thursday, or whatever day the form's open, the Friday. And I want every single kid to be in a computer room, boys' site and girls' site, and we're going to flood all the entrance, and we're going to get as many people in as possible. And then I'll guarantee that we'll have 2 national champions at this school, 2 national champions at the girls' school. And if people don't go, then we'll refund the difference with the parents. It'll be like a lottery type thing. And we'll play it to the parents as if like this is some kind of sports day. And essentially it would be. I could have it so that, like, if there's 32 people going, then we've got like 5 or 6 forms. We could take 4 or 5 people from each form, make it a sports day, and then like the highest score of 3 or out of the 4 counts, and it would be like a mini regionals thing, but for my school. I mean, there's nothing stopping that. It would have been an absolute hoo-ha, and people would have complained. But if you're not going to have entry standards, people could very easily abuse that and just spam entrance and whatever. And you're probably thinking, okay, but they need to be part of a registered club. I mean, there are schools that are their own clubs. For example, Dartford Grammar School is its own club. I mean, I could very, not easily, it would take a little bit of a guff, but I could say to the school, right, can we start putting the steps forward to becoming our own athletics club, please? Pay the EA fees or whatever it is, and then we can start doing this. And I think it's I'm not singling out Crewe and Nantwich. I think what I'm saying is that if you see from last year that the top 20 or the top 30 were scoring 2,600, 2,700 points, and you've got an athlete that is scoring 800, 900 points on a good day, then is that really the experience you want them to have to get them completely whooped? Like, maybe they'll be oblivious to it and they just want the experience. That's fine. I think the argument comes down to, and some are saying, well, it's a competition. We just want the experience. I get that, and it's called the England Athletics Open. I think that's also a poor phrase, poor choice of phrasing of what that should be. But I think really you need to have a more, and I've said this on the Facebook group, you need to have, you know, opens or county level combined events. You need to have regional, like the south of England, and then you need to have the England Athletics one right at the end. And you ideally want to have a structure in place. The athletes get significant rest between them, and also they can use one to qualify for another, if that makes sense. So, for example, if you're feeling pretty confident, or you've already got a good score beforehand, you can just jump straight to the England Athletics. That's absolutely fine. Or say you're a couple of 100 points short, then maybe the south of England or the Midlands or the north might be a good competition for you. It's a month and a half behind the nationals. You do that first. Oh, you got lucky and you got the nationals qualifier. Okay, you've still got time to put your form in. You know what I mean? And at the moment, it just seems to be like every person for themselves. It doesn't seem particularly structured in that way. And so I don't blame the athletes or the parents for putting in a form to say, could we do the nationals? They've got every right to. I'm just lamenting the fact that there should be more of a structure for the combined events competitions in general, so that those athletes don't feel like it's the nationals or bust, I don't do anything, and they're given a structure of competitions. And it should, and there's no point having the county combined events champs after the England Athletics. Like, who cares? Like, who literally cares at that point? Because what? So you're going to do it afterwards, and you use that as a qualification for next time. What if you're going up an age group and it's a different event, like going from under 15 to 17s, or it's in the boys, or it's a pent to a hep? Like, it just makes no sense. And the combined events, England Athletics under 15s, under 17s champs, are in March. So you're telling me you can't figure out two competitions nationally between November and March? Seems a bit weird, but again, I'm just pointing out that. Anyway, I've rambled on enough about that. But yeah, um, I just want athletes to be able to feel like they can compete, and it's a fair competition where they're not spanking other people in terms of, absolutely creaming them, but at the same time, they're not going to competitions getting absolutely creamed. It's just fair competition where everyone progresses. Maybe that's just me being a bit pie in the sky, but anyway. Um, when it comes to any other new stuff that's been happening recently, my website's up and running. Two-way calculator for decathlon is up, so that means you put the distance, time, or height down for any event, and it gives a score. Or the second way back, you can put the score in, and then it will give you the distance, time, and type, distance, time, or height for any of the events, which I think is incredibly helpful. I know some point calculators do that already. I know others don't. I am working on getting other events in there. So for the heptathlon, for the younger age groups, for the ultra multi events, where it's the decathlon, no, sorry, the icosathlon, and whatever the 14 one is, the yeah. Anyway, so there's lots going on there. My coaching qualifications, where they're going. So I was a coach for jumps, level 3 event group, highest I can get so far. The sprints and hurdles has happened, so I'm a level 3 or event group for sprints and hurdles now. The throws integration day was cancelled last year, and they just left it indefinitely, saying, yeah, it'll be sometime in the new year. I was like, right, cool. I've paid a bit of money for this. It would be nice to get a bit of a better time than just at some point. Um, but yeah, it's now officially booked in the 27th and 28th of April. I'm checking my emails every day just to make sure they're not going to say, yeah, sorry, haha, going to cancel again. But, I'm kind of at their mercy in that respect. I'm sure they won't. The coordinator seemed pretty positive about it, and I've got no reason to suggest that it won't. But it's just a bit frustrating. But never mind, it's all happening, so that's fine. And yeah, just meeting lots of new coaches, talking to people. So the Verts, Alan and his son Alex, really great chatting to them. I've had a few online conversations with them and in person. Just really great to get to know them. Gary, the Scottish coach of Douglas Knox, really great guy. And yeah, Rafa, even though I probably haven't had a chat with him much since October half term, it's just nice knowing that we've got contact numbers and touch base. It's absolutely fine, and that's what an event lead should be. You're just there as like, got a problem, I know I can chat to. He's a reliable guy. He's nice, friendly, enthusiastic, loves the sport. Like, what do you want? Like, that's what you want from an event lead. So yeah, I'm really happy. I feel supported there. So that's all great as far as I'm concerned. Now the thing that yeah, so this is right. So let's start again. So around about October half term, I knew that there was going to be some harsh step ups. And the main reason why I thought there'd be a harsh step up is because I knew that a lot of the athletes are going to be stepping up into the year group above. So they're going from under 15s, under 17s, or under 17s, under 20s. And I knew that, yeah, if they don't pull their socks up, they could get a little bit disillusioned. And I think with the whole, I think at that time, there was talk about, well, should we go to the under 16, under 18 categories because everyone else's Europe is and all that other stuff. That wasn't really a main figure in my mind, but I knew that athletes possibly were thinking, oh, what's the point? That kind of thing. I knew that as things were going to get colder, they're going to want to start training indoors more. They're going to want to start getting a bit lazy. They might say, oh, it's too cold. I don't want to come down. Um, I get it. It's smooth seas don't make a skilled sailor. Um, but at the same time, you do have to look after yourself. Um, so I get it. But I think that the main core of it is I wanted athletes to take more ownership of their own development. I wanted athletes to show a level of commitment. Um, to me, I was coaching 6 days a week, nearly seven in some cases. I was spending easily 20, 25 hours a week of contact time with people. And then hours outside of that, like putting plans together, reviewing plans, looking at data from um, video footage, thinking like, right, if they're doing this, then what next? Why are they doing that? Should I consult this person? Should I talk to this physio? The, you know, I wouldn't say I'm a completionist in terms of no stone unturned, but I at least try. And it's now that it's gone from 11 to 23 um, people, or the group was starting to grow around October. I was like, right, okay, I need to get a little bit more organized, a bit of a structure. And so I think in the BACA, the British Athletics Coaching Association group on Facebook, there was this hoo-ha, not hoo-ha, but I think just general talk of should athletes and or rather should coaches charge athletes, should athletes pay for coaches, that kind of thing. And as I said before, I've had 52 coaches. It seems like a bit of a weird number to just magically know. And the only reason I know that is because I had to, well, I didn't have to, but when Blackheath did a coaches week video thing where we sent like a 2 or 3 minute little clip of why you got into coaching, why you love it, I just sat down on Power of 10 and thought like, right, what was I doing then? Who was I coached by? That what was, and then by the end of it, and I'd written a little list, 52 coaches. Um, and there's loads of coaches I've worked with as a coach. So really, to say, I find it really weird if a coach says I was really influenced by this one coach, because I'm barely 2 or 3 years into this coaching malarkey, but just from being an athlete and talking to lots of people, it must be in the hundreds now. I've lost count. Like the amount of people I've listened to, I've taken notes from. I thought like, right, I understand. I think how they think. I understand the justifications, and it's kind of like assimilation, like not just taking the best bits, but rather taking the skills. Um, and so, to me, coaching I take very seriously, even if I am just an unpaid amateur to that point. And I thought, well, do I have to be unpaid? I'm not. I don't think I'm an amateur in the sense that I'm lackadaisical in any way. I'm as qualified as the governing body, England Athletics, will allow me to be now. Really, I just have to finish off the level 3 throws content, or I have, but I mean the actual integration day and get that ticked off. And then really, there's only the level 3 in endurance. And to be honest, I could probably do that as well. I just do the modules. I'll sit through the course. I'll share my mind. I'll reflect and all that stuff. And I'm more than confident I could do that as well. It just doesn't particularly interest me, and that's fine. Some people aren't interested by shot put, and that's it's perfectly fine. But throws, jumps, sprints, and hurdles, that's kind of the main. That's the 3 of the 4 main bits ticked off. That's all you need for combined events. Like I say, all you need. That's like the core of combined events. I will tick off the endurance at some point, but it's just not a high priority. But anyway, so I thought, well, okay, so should I charge? And then I thought, if I charge, what kind of dynamic am I going to be introducing into the group? you know, because as a teacher and as someone who tutors, if you just up the price, it just means you'll have a different clientele, and that doesn't necessarily mean you'll be tutoring the people you want to tutor or necessarily be an easy tutorage. So, for example, for that, I've had many people that I've tutored where they're clearly quite well off, but they've done something like, I don't know, spent the last 7, 8 years in Magaluf or whatever it is, and their kids missed a lot of school, and the parents are clearly affluent, and they'll pay like 200, £300 for a block of tutoring just to make sure their kid gets through, a GCSE. Part of me thinks like, do I want to do that? Yes, it's helpful for them, but that's not what I want to get in there for. So to me, I was like, right, I want to create a system where I don't want to charge people if I have to. I want to be supportive because I understand that like parents and kids, it's not made of money, but at the same time, there is an incentive for them to want to improve if there isn't already, and they can see clearly marked signposts that I don't think are as evident in the athlete pathway for England athletics. I know there's the youth development the youth talent program, the YTP, and all that stuff, but there isn't to me a structure of if you break X amount of points, you'll get Y amount of money per year as a salary, or you know what I mean? Like if it's not like if you're a 6,000 point decathlete, you'll get a bursary of £3,000 to train. If you're an 8,000 point decathlete or an 8,350, whatever the Olympic thing is, then yeah, you'll probably, it's all very like, yeah, we're going to have a selection committee and review, what it takes to win and all this stuff. And I feel like, yeah, I know why you're trying to do that, but yeah, it's just a bit naff. I think like when it comes to coaching, I wanted it to be a conversation. I've already waffled on for too long about this in a separate video that I've linked in the description of my WhatsApp call where I describe all this. But essentially, athletes that are committed to progress and they're actually progressing, I tend to charge a nominal amount or nothing at all. The only athletes that I would charge a ridiculous amount, and that's like 200, £500 a month, are the ones that are completely new to the sport. And as far as I'm concerned, are just taking the mick in a certain way. Like they're just, it's the ones where it's like, oh, little Billy needs to do hammer at the weekend. Can you teach him hammer? Like in the middle of a session I'm trying to do. And I know they're just trying to be nice, and I'm a busy guy, and it's hard to know when to chat. And I get that. That's totally fine. To be fair, I haven't had that often. And my rebuttal to, oh, you can't do that, charging hundreds of pounds a month, that's ridiculous. That's fine. But where I currently am, there are academies, young youth academies that charge like £10 a month or something, and they're fun, they're low level, they're casual. You can learn all the skills. If you just want to throw a javelin, that's fine, but it's more of a commitment. And to be honest, I've had conversations with parents, and I'm more than happy to chat with parents at any point in time. Say, look, I like your kid. Your kid's a good athlete. On this little flowchart thing, they are here. I suggest if you want to go to the next bit up or a couple of ones up where it's significantly less money or free, then this is the earliest opportunity. We can train for this. We can work on this, this, this. I'm confident they can do it. It's just going to be this much training. It's usually a yep, okay, fine. I've only had one person walk out and I think really that's because A levels were coming around the corner and they weren't really into combined events anyway. They were just in the group. I like them. They're nice enough, but combined events really wasn't them. It'd be it was the last remnant of the people I used to have in my group when I didn't have anyone, and I was just thrown athletes. Not almost like a pity thing, but I think I was given athletes that weren't into combined events, but maybe wanted to do a bit of hurdling. And then once we moved on to long jump and shot, they disappear off to another group and do running or sprinting, or you know what I mean? Like just ones that are not truly committed. They're good athletes and they're nice people. Don't get me wrong, but they weren't committed to combined events. And to me, I know what I was like as a kid, and if I had someone like me when I was a kid in a group that had raw potential but zero movement skills, was committed, would have travelled to Canterbury and back every single day, and I did for sixth form. I was in a sports scholarship to Canterbury, and I used to get the 6:57 or whatever it was from St Mary Cray, and then get to Canterbury East for 8:32, and then I'd run for like a solid 10 minutes from Canterbury East to Barton Court Grammar School and just get in time for physics in the morning and do my A levels there. And oh man, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. If I thought it was going to improve my decathlon, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. And it's the kind of kid that I was, that I'd like to say, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to look after you. Um, here's the pathway. I reckon you can get there. Let's move you up and fairly quickly, which to me I think is absolutely fine. So yeah, they've I think this kind of structure has been incredibly positive. Um, there was a little bit of like, oh, I don't know. There was a little bit of uncertainty, but I think like once we'd had a chat about it and realised where they were, actually, it's been incredibly positive. I mean, ever since, I mean, I pretty much dropped the news mid-October, November, just after the October half term, and I said it'd be implemented in January. Got time to think about it and have a chat and all that stuff. And after January, it's just been bang, bang, bang. Lots of PBs, um, higher rankings, enjoying it more. It's I just think it's going really well. So yeah, I mean, I thought about this pretty much for the whole of October half term. I wrote a 13-page document on it. It was painful. I tried to make it as fair as possible, but also future proof. Like if I had older athletes that were doing major stuff or whatever, then how do I approach that? Um, and I tried to make it as fair as possible, because to me, a top 10 ranking in under 20 boys for decathlon is nowhere near as hard as top 10 ranking for under 15 girls pentathlon. That's just a fact. The under 20 boys, there's just hardly anyone doing decathlon, and the ones that are incredibly good, but there's just hardly. You could easily snipe a top 25 position under 20 boys and not do that particularly well, um, or rather not have done a particularly good score. Whereas under 15 girls, if someone was top 20 in the under 15 girls, be like, damn, you're actually pretty good at this stuff. Just keep on trucking. It's good stuff. It's just so competitive. So yeah, um, if you're interested, of brokering that, because it was not easy. I'm perfectly honest with you. It was a big step. I believe it was a step forward. Nobody left. Well, one person left because of it, but as I said before, I think it's because A levels are starting to get a bit serious, and yeah, they just had to focus on things. Um, so yeah, challenges, real challenges. So yeah, one of the things that's actually happened, or rather, the main challenge is I've now got double the athletes, but for my own sanity and expenses, I have to coach less. I'm instead of 6, 7 days a week, I'm now 5, maybe 6 over the holidays. So during Easter, I coached Monday to Friday and then Saturday mornings. Um, you know, but now it's term time. I won't coach Wednesdays and I won't coach Sundays because I need that little midweek break. I think the kids do too, to be honest. Yeah, for my own sanity, I just can't. In March, as you can see, a kid in the playground threw a stone. They missed it, or missed where they were going for. It kind of whiffed to the right and it went through my back window. The kid's dad did pay, but this was the Wednesday before the national champs, the England Athletics heptathlon. I had to abandon my car because it broke down on the Friday, needed a new console. Um, and then the MOT came along, um, and I needed to get new brake discs, brake pads, a couple of new tires, timing belt, pump, and you're looking at nearly $2,000 worth of stuff on this car. And I knew it was going to be a bit of an expensive one, but damn, that yeah. So I think also having looked at the last couple of MOTs, I've done nearly 20,000 miles a year easily, and it's just knackering the car, really is. So to give it a little bit of a pat and say, there, don't worry about it. I've been cycling in to school. I've been cycling the 13 miles from where I live in Dartford to Norman Park religiously 3 times a week. So that's like 3 marathons of biking every week. I've been cycling from my place to Ebbsfleet International, which is a 25-minute bike, and then getting the 35-minute train from Ebbsfleet to Canterbury, and then a 5-minute cycle after that. So really, it's an hour's traveling time, and it used to take me an hour's traveling time to Canterbury anyway, or sometimes longer if I get stuck in traffic. Yeah, so to me, it's a no-brainer. Traveling from school to Norman Park in the rush hour is best part of an hour. I can get to Norman Park just under an hour, 56 minutes now. Yeah, it's just a no-brainer. I'm exercising more. I'm getting a bit healthier. I'm saving a lot of money. I'm only using my car for pole vault sessions and to get to competitions now, or just little errands here and there at the weekend. Yeah, it's just a big move. Um, as I said before, some athletes have left for a variety of reasons. Um, some of them haven't really left, but kind of have. One left because of A-level choices and the whole thing that they were going to be charged and they didn't like it, and they couldn't see themselves improving to that degree because it would mean dropping a few other things, and their studies were important, and I get that. Studies are. I'm a teacher. I get that. One fairly high-profile athlete um, pretty much had been distancing themselves uh, because they didn't like the weather, and also it was GC year. They were training at Lee Valley instead of coming and seeing me. Just excuse after excuse. I think I saw them about 3 or 4 times from October until February. And then they went to the England Athletics Champs. I messaged, on Friday saying, good luck, let me know how it goes. I saw on Run Track or Open Track, whatever it was, they didn't do particularly so well. And then the parent rang me saying, yeah, we just thought we'd ring you. A bit disappointed you didn't come and check in on us, even though I left a message saying, let me know how it goes. I didn't know if they were like ashamed or like, I didn't know, or not ashamed, but like angry or upset, or they need some personal space. I didn't want to chase and be intrusive. I just thought, well, they'll come to me, or I'll see them soon. And I did say, let me know how it gets on. And yeah, they just said, yeah, we thought we'd let you know. We're really upset you didn't message and check up on us. Um, and we've been thinking about it for a while, but we're going to leave the group. And it's like, right, okay, well, it's probably because it wasn't working out. I think they weren't going to specialize in combined events. It was a matter of time. I still see them occasionally. I have a chat with them, but yeah, they're not there. Um, and then yeah, others just haven't been able to get down. They live so far away, and I think not left the group, but I haven't seen them for a while. And it's quite sad. I don't want to leave on bad terms with anybody. Um, I don't think I'm like that, but it's just tough. I can't be everywhere at once. If I had a teleportation button that saved me time and transported me for free, I'd be there in a heartbeat. It's solely, it's not a money problem. It's not an energy problem. It's entirely a logistics problem. It's getting to places to see the right people at the right time. I found coaching is the hardest thing. There's so much talent out there. It's just a case of getting to them. And so, yeah, I found it difficult that they've left. I didn't want them to leave, but they did. And so if it's best for them, then I appreciate that, and I'm not going to argue with it. That's how they feel. Um, the average age of the group has gone from 14.6 last year to 14.8. So it means I've lost elder ones got in quite a few younger ones, and so that average should have gone from 14.6 to 15.6 because everyone's gone up a year, so the average should have gone up 1 year, but it's gone down a little bit. There's nothing wrong with training youngsters. I'm just a little bit worried that the athletes I coach are going to start getting older, and then athlete retention is going to be a bit of a problem. I was already worried about it anyway because just how unforgiving the sport is and how unsupportive it is, at the mid level. I will not say the top level, but the mid level. Like if you're not quite there, there's literally little to no support. I mean, once you're a senior, if you're a 7,000 point decathlete and you're a senior, that is a massive, massive gulf between 7,000 and then anything serious like 8,300. Just massive. And you're not going to get any funding as such unless you're really lucky with the Pickering Memorial Fund or anything else like that. It's just not a lot. Maybe I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. But for someone that was kind of on the 7,000 or just under it myself, if you're kind of at that level, you're just not going to get any help by the time you're senior. And the only help really you can have is if you're in full-time education like university and you're getting to train while only working or studying for 15 hours a week. It's just not going to happen. Um, so yeah, bit worried because of that. But also, if I keep letting in younger kids, the older ones are essentially going to be saying, "Come on, man, you need to separate the group out." It's in theory, people should just be able to train and it's done. But some people get really funny. For example, if a 20-year-old is training with like a 7-year-old, some people might go, well, that's a bit inappropriate, or that's not really conducive. It'd be much better if the 20-year-old was with a bunch of other 20-something-year-olds, and the 7-year-old was with a bunch of like 8, or with a bunch of 6 to 10-year-olds, or whatever it is. It's a very natural thing to think like that. And so I do want to kind of keep the group. I'm not saying no to taking on any other people, but I'm just really conscious about the group dynamic, and how age is going to play a factor at some point. I can kind of feel that that's coming. That is going to be a hurdle to overtake at some point. Yeah, I've talked about other athletes leaving. In terms of injuries, yeah, there's a few niggles in the group. I think that's because they're training so hard. There isn't a commonality yet. They've all got slightly different things wrong with them. It's ranging from like back, knees, ankles, feet, shins, hip flexors, upper body. There's not, if all of them had the exact same problem, I'd go, right, okay, we need to sort this out. But I think there's just such a major range of different things going on. I also think they're growing. So I think this is another reason to lay off the weights. I think that would be another stress. It just compounded the whole thing. At the moment, we're only doing body weight stuff and medicine balls. I think that's more than enough to beast them. That's more than enough stress. And some of these athletes are training twice a week, once a week, twice a week, but they're doing lots of other different sports. Luckily, there's been no need for surgery. Luckily, there's been no need for A&E visits. There's been no serious stuff going on. It's all little niggles. It's a week off here. It's a physio appointment there. It's rehab work, and then it goes. That has just happened. But yeah, otherwise they're pretty much in good shape. And as I said before, I've tried to organise more combined events days, but just with all the stuff that's been going on, I've just been swamped. If combined events coaching was my full-time job and I was given time in the day, I'd go for it 100%. I'd be ringing up every single track in the country and I'd be sorting it out. But I'm doing all this coaching and a full-time job, and well, the full-time job is teaching and trying to mark stuff and take work home and have a life. Heaven forbid. But yeah, it's been tough, and something's had to fall off the wagon. And unfortunately, I always knew that organising combined events days was like the stretch goal, if you like. It was the added extension, and unfortunately, that's kind of that's kind of fallen off. And yeah, to wrap up, the plan until October. Well, at the moment, I'd kind of say the heavy lifting, which is silly because we don't actually lift heavy, has been done. We've, it's a lot of it now is going to be movement skills still, starting to build up to longer approaches, full run ups, full glides, that kind of thing, competition practice. And it's very much a bespoke. It's not necessarily we all have to do this, we all have to do that in terms of, conditioning and speed work and that kind of stuff. Yeah, there is some things that we all have to do, but it's not as a this is the winter structure, the summer structure. Yes, we all need to work on those things, but it might be you need to take a rest for these couple of sessions because you've got the league match coming up. You can work because you haven't got any league matches, but you're doing competition here and there, and it becomes a bit more personalized for the athlete and their season structure at this point. I think when during October till like March, April, there was one or two competitions they were doing. I don't really push the indoor bit because I'd rather they, develop and grow. Um, but when it comes to summer, they're a little bit more, they've got their own competition plans. They're competing at different times, so they're not all training at the same time. Some might take time off. Some might be training really hard. Some might be doing light training. Some might be doing X, Y, Z, and so on. It just depends. But the main theme is it's going to be short, sharp, uh, full approach stuff, or at least aiming towards that. If it needs to be built up, that's fine. Physical development, yes, we might do some speed work, might do some lactic, might do some longer runs, but no, we don't touch weights. It's got to be as specific as possible. It's got to be as fast and explosive as possible. And yeah, it's just gearing up for the season, really. And yeah, well, I'll see you guys. Yeah, in October, hopefully. Well, what we'll have for then, we'll have done the Southeast Regionals, the Kent Schools, the South of England Outdoor Champs, the England Athletics Outdoor Champs, the County Combined Events, County Individual, and the English Schools Combined Events Champs. There's loads of stuff to go on between now and then. And you've got a plethora of YDLs, Youth Development League, the Kent Young Athletes League, the Southern Athletics League, which some of the under-17s can now do now, the British Athletics League or the National Athletics League, the NALs. Yeah, just loads of things going on. So yeah, all exciting stuff, and I can't wait.